agriculture. That is the fourth chapter of your 10th class geography book, and a very, very important aspect of our country on a whole, because agriculture is said to be the mainstay of Indian economy. So let us see what you have in this chapter. The beginning chapter is going to begin with the types of farming, in which you are going to understand different forms of agriculture taken up, which can be either on the basis of implements used, which can be on the basis of the intensity of usage of labor, capital requirement, or what is the purpose of doing that kind of agriculture, that is either for the subsistence or commercial purposes. So you will be understanding different forms of agriculture that is practiced in different part of our country. Then we have the cropping pattern. That means the three different cropping patterns we are going to talk about, two being the major and third one being the intermediate or the transition growing period. And basically in this chapter, what you have to understand is the major crops which are grown in our country, the climatic requirement, which includes temperature, rainfall, and soil being the major requirement, the cash crops you will be doing, the food crops you will be understanding, and different very important aspect, that is the technological and institutional reforms with reference to agriculture. Further, the page number from 33 onwards 34 onwards, sorry, is also again the omitted portion of your chapter. So today we are going to cover up the first section, that is understanding different forms of agriculture in this video. So the first thing which is very important over here is to understand that India is basically an agriculturally important country. 2/3 of its population is engaged in agricultural activity. Agriculture is the primary activity which produces most of the food that we consume. Beside food grains, it also produces raw material for various industries. So what you need to understand from this paragraph is, or you can also write down a question over here, that is for 5 marks you can get this question. Highlight importance of agriculture for country like India. So what you have basically understood from this paragraph is that it is not only with reference to country like India, agriculture is otherwise also a very important aspect, because it provides food to the complete nation. It maintains the food security of a country. So agriculture is very, very important aspect, and especially with a country like India, which has mainly an agrarian economy, and where 2/3 of the population, more than 65% of population is engaged in agriculture. Agriculture is said to be the mainstay of Indian economy. In such a country, agriculture is very important. It is the primary activity, and the food which we consume, the food that is distributed to the people of our country, is produced through this art and science, which is called agriculture. Beside food grains, we also produce raw material for various industries. That means agriculture is not only supporting the food requirement of the country, but it is also providing the raw material that is required by various industries in order to produce finished goods, ultimately accelerating the growth of industries in our country. When you will be understanding the classification of industries in your next chapter, that is agro-based industries. So you will understand the importance of agriculture for the development of industries in return. So agriculture is not only upholding the food supply of the country, but it is also accelerating the pace of development of industries of our country. So moving on to the next topic, we are going to understand different types of farming that is taken up in our country. Agriculture is an age-old economic activity in our country. Over these years, cultivation methods have changed significantly depending upon the characteristics of physical environment, technical know how, and socio cultural practices. Farming varies from subsistence to commercial type. At present, in different parts of India, the following farming systems are practiced. So, yes, of course, we cannot ignore the fact that agriculture or the methods with which the agriculture used to be done, it has overgone several changes over the years. Initially, when we were not very much developed with reference to our technology was not all that developed. Not, I would not say redundant, but it was not all that developed. Or early men used to make implements, agricultural implements with stones. Slowly and steadily, when we developed the knowledge of different types of metal, different types of material were being used to do agriculture, or modern type of equipments came into being, and then the mechanization of agriculture took place. So there are various factors on which our agricultural types or the farming or practices have been undergoing changes, and there are some other factors also that will determine the nature of agricultural activity, that is the physical environment of an area, very important aspect, and of course the social cultural practices. There are certain region where some things are forbidden to be grown, or there it might not permit, or the terrain might not permit, so that will determine that what kind of agriculture practices might be taken up in that particular region. So first type of farming is primitive subsistence farming. Now the name itself is telling you primitive subsistence farming. What do you mean by primitive? Primitive means something old, that is something traditional or something old. Subsistence mainly means when the agriculture is, or the crops are grown only for self consumption. It is not grown for selling in the market. The purpose is not to earn profit, but only to satisfy your family needs, or maybe some one or two more families attached to you. So primitive subsistence farming, this type of farming is still practiced in few pockets of India. Primitive subsistence agriculture is practiced on small patches of land with the help of primitive tools like hoe, dhow, and digging sticks, and family community labor is mainly used for this purpose. So what are the characteristics? You can write down, or you can keep noting down the characteristics, because this answer question is usually asked in the same form, that give 3 or 5 characteristics of primitive subsistence farming. So first characteristics is that primitive subsistence agriculture is practiced on small patch of land. Number 2, it is done with the help of primitive tools, old tools like hoe, dhow, and digging sticks, which are manually operated. Third feature is that family or community labor is used in this type of agriculture. The fourth feature of primitive subsistence farming is that this type of farming mainly depends upon monsoon, that is, no extra irrigation facilities are made available for this type of farming, because the purpose is only for subsistence, that is for self use. It is not being done on large scale, therefore not much of investment is required over here, and no additional irrigation facilities will be made available. Only for irrigation facilities monsoon will be dependent on. Next feature is that natural fertility of the soil and suitability of other environment condition to the crops grown, that no additional pesticides or insecticides are mainly used for this kind of agriculture. Again, the same reason here, because it is being grown for subsistence purposes. Profit is not the motive here. So whatever the yield may be coming out from the field, the farmer usually satisfied in that, because it is only for self consumption purposes. Now, there is another important thing which is attached to it is the slash and burn agriculture. That means primitive subsistence farming, or the method with which the primitive subsistence farming is done. It is also known as slash and burn agriculture, or clearly you will be able to associate with another name which is called shifting cultivation. So as the name itself suggests, shifting cultivation. Now you need to understand over here that what do you mean by shifting cultivation. Now this was a technique, shifting cultivation, in which a patch of land was first cleared, and that is why it is also known as slash and burn. That means the bushes or the wild growth which was grown on the piece of land, that was slashed, that was burnt, that was first slashed, and after, the roots which were left over in the field, because it was difficult to uproot those roots and clear the field, therefore burning of those leftover remnant material used to be done. So that is why it has got the name slash and burn. Slash means cutting down the bushes and then burning the material that is left over in the field. It is called slash and burn agriculture. So again, the name itself is suggesting slash and burn is also called shifting cultivation. Shifting means this practice, how this agriculture is practiced. Shifting agriculture means when on one patch of land is taken up, slash and burn method is applied, it is cleared for the agriculture purpose. After 3 to 4 years, or maybe 5 to 6 years, once the land loses its fertility, the family moves on to another patch of land. That is why it was called shifting agriculture. Now there were many benefits of doing shifting agriculture during that time, because after a span of year, when the land is left fallow for certain time period, it helps the land to regain its fertility, regain its lost nutrients. That is why shifting cultivation was beneficial at that time. But nowadays you cannot think of shifting cultivation, because we are already running short on the land as a resource. High population does not allows us to practice this agriculture anymore. So this type of shifting allows nature to replenish the fertility of the soil through natural process. Land productivity in this type of agriculture is low, as farmer does not use fertilizers or other modern inputs. It is known by different names in different parts of the country. So this was about shifting cultivation, which is also known as slash and burn method, or you can attach this altogether to the main heading, that is primitive subsistence farming. Now another thing very important over here, which is usually asked in CBSE board exams also, and also other exams of recruitment when you go at the senior level. This is the most repetitive question. By what different names shifting cultivation is known? So obviously it is difficult to remember each and every name, but yes, you should know every name that is by which it is known in our own country, and 2-3 names of on the international level you can do. So here, as you see, it is known as jhuming in northeastern states like Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Nagaland, Palmu in Manipur, Deepa in Bastar district of Chhattisgarh, and in Andaman Nicobar Islands. So these names you can memorize at least 1 or 2 out of it. Then jhuming, the slash and burn agriculture, is known as milpa in Mexico, Central America, milpa in Mexico and Central America, Quanquo in Venezuela, Roca in Brazil, Mezol in Central Africa, Ladang in Indonesia, Ray in Vietnam. In India, its primitive form of cultivation is called Bivar or Dhaiya in Madhya Pradesh, Podu or Penda in Andhra Pradesh, Pama Dabi or Kuman or Bringa in Odisha, Kumari in Western Ghats, Vellore or Valtar in southeastern Rajasthan, Kheel in Himalayan belt, Kurva in Jharkhand, and jhuming in northeastern region. So these are different names by which jhuming cultivation or shifting cultivation or slash and burn agriculture is known by different names in different countries as well as different parts of our country. So this was all about primitive subsistence farming. Next, if you move on, we have intensive subsistence farming. Now, let us see what are the features of intensive subsistence farming. This type of farming is practiced in the areas of high population pressure on the land, where there is high pressure of population on the land. Now, intensive, if you have seen that what is the basic function of intensive care unit in case of hospitals, a patient who needs high attention, who needs critical care, that type of patient is shifted into intensive care unit. So similarly here also, from this statement itself you can make out that the type of farming which is practiced in the area of high population pressure on the land, this type of agriculture is taken up where there is demand for agriculture on a very higher level. Intensively we need to focus on agriculture so that the high demand of food can be sustained and people can be supplied with food crops. It is labor intensive. Number one feature was that it is practiced in the high population pressure area. Second is it is labor intensive farming. Third feature is where high doses of biochemical inputs are needed. Fourth is irrigation are used for obtaining higher production. So these are 4 to 5 features which are given about intensive subsistence farming. So what do we come to know from this paragraph about intensive subsistence farming is, number one, that it is basically taken up in those area where population pressure is very high and lot of agriculture needs to be done so that the food supply can be maintained for that high density of population. Secondly is because it is done on intensive level, so large scale labor is also required for it. Intensive use of labor is required for it. Third feature is that high doses of biochemical inputs, that means artificial fertilizers are also added to the field so as to increase the yield or production of the crop. Lastly, irrigation facility is to be provided. It cannot be solely done only by being dependent on monsoon. So this is the fourth feature of intensive subsistence farming, that artificial irrigation facilities are to be provided in case of taking up this farming activity. Now, next paragraph which says is, can you name some of the states of India where such farming is practiced? Okay, you can look for this answer, otherwise I will provide you with this answer later on. Next paragraph talks about one of the disadvantage that has caused some negative impacts on our agricultural activity. Though the right of inheritance leading to the division of land among successive generation has rendered land holding size uneconomical, the farmers continue to take maximum output from the limited land in the absence of alternative source of livelihood. Thus, there is enormous pressure on agricultural land. So now what is happening is that the population is going on increasing and increasing, but the land cannot be increased at the same pace. So there is enormous pressure on the limited land area for increasing the yield. So what is happening is that in order to increase the yield from the field, high doses of chemicals and fertilizers is given to the crops so that the yield goes on increasing from the same area of the land. Moreover, because of high population and there is a right of inheritance, that means after the death of the father, the son eventually becomes the legal heir of the property. So because we have very high rate of population growth in India, usually what is happening is that a piece of a land is bigger land holding when it is holded by the father, but once father dies, the piece of a land is divided further into 2 sons or maybe 3 sons or 4 sons. That further renders the land holding size smaller and smaller, and it becomes very difficult to cope up with the increasing demand of the food supply on that small piece of land. So this statement, right of inheritance leading to division of land among successive generation has rendered land holding size uneconomical, this statement usually comes for 5 marks point of view, and you have to explain this statement giving the reasons which I have mentioned. The next type of farming that is done in agriculture is commercial farming. Now, the name, you can take the hint that commercial means which is taken up for in order to earn profit. So when the farming or agriculture is done on large scale, everything in this, every input in this is taken up on large scale. So when the farming is done on large scale in order to earn profit from the market, that type of farming is known as commercial farming. Let us see what are the characteristics of this type of farming is. Number one, this type of farming uses higher dose of modern inputs. Modern inputs means whether it is high yielding variety seeds, chemical, fertilizer, insecticide, pesticide, everything is taken up on very large scale. Second is, degree of commercialization of agriculture varies from one region to another. So what does it says? This statement, what does it means over here is that degree of commercialization, whether that particular crop is being grown on commercial level or it is being grown on subsistent level, that depends upon one region to another. That will be determined by the physiography or the climate of an area, whether it allows that particular crops to be grown in that region on commercial basis or it only allows it to be grown on a small scale, that is on subsistence basis. So from here you can give an example that wheat is mainly grown in the northern India because wheat is the climatic requirement which is required for growing wheat, that is more found in towards the northern India. But if you compare it to the another crop, that is rice will be majorly found towards the eastern side, that is the northern eastern side and the southern eastern side. So this is because the abundant of water supply that is required for rice cultivation can be found in these regions, and the climate suitability, the temperature, the soil type are all found in this belt. So the what kind of crop will be grown under which type of farming system, that is determined by from one region to another. It is not necessary that every crop needs to be grown on commercial level everywhere. Maybe the physiography does not permits, or maybe the climatic condition does not permits that crop to be grown on higher level, so it may be grown on small scales also. Eventually nowadays, because technology has become so high and we have lot of artificial inputs that can be added in order to increase the yield, so majorly this is not an issue these days that one type of crop can only be grown to one region. It is not specific to any region, but agriculture is being taken up in variety of forms in different part of our country. But yes, there are on the macro level, there are certain important requirements for growing one particular crop in one particular region. Therefore, one region is specifically known for commercialization of one type of crop. So this statement, the degree of commercialization of agriculture varies from one region to another, this statement can also be asked for 3 marks or 5 marks. Justify the statement, elaborate the statement, explain the statement, anyhow they can ask you. And they have also given a very simple and beautiful example over here. Rice is commercial crop in Haryana and Punjab, but in Odisha it is grown on subsistence level. Yes, because there may be various parameters attached to it. Maybe the soil type is not fertile, maybe it is not, although it is a staple diet of that region also. So there are various aspects attached to this particular statement. So we have understood what is primitive subsistence farming, we have understood what is intensive subsistence farming, we have understood what is commercial type of farming, and lastly we are going to understand what do you mean by plantation agriculture. Now, plantation is also a type of commercial farming only. Plantation is done usually on a large area like the tea estates, and one peculiar feature of plantation agriculture is that single crop is grown in this type of farming. So plantation is a commercial farming. It is done on large area, and single type of crop is grown over here. It requires it requires more of labor, it requires more of capital, and it requires lot many other inputs, and intensive use of technology also required. Large scale migrant and cheap availability of labor is very much important for this kind of plantation agriculture. So let us see in detail. I am going to read the paragraph now. Plantation is also a type of commercial farming which is done on a single crop and is grown in larger area. This plantation act as an interface of agriculture and industry. That means the products which are grown on a very large scale, they act as a raw material for the industrial purpose. So this type of agriculture, that is commercial as well as plantation agriculture, they give a boost to the industrial development of our country. Plantation covers large tract of land using capital intensive inputs. That means this type, because it is done on very large scale or large land holding, therefore you require lot of machinery for this, and that is why it becomes a capital intensive technology. With the help of migrant laborers, large scale migrant laborers are needed, again because area covered is very high. It is being done on commercial level, it is being done for the sale in the market, and not only we are talking about national market over here, we are also talking about international market. This type of agriculture, that is commercial, the agriculture which is done on commercial level, is usually to satisfy the global market. Here we are not only referring to the national market. So all the produce is used as raw material in respective industries, and examples of plantation crops is like tea, coffee, rubber, sugarcane, banana. And if you have very often heard about tea estates in northeastern states or somewhere in the southern India also, then Himalayan region also, coffee, rubber, sugarcane, all these plants are done in under plantation agriculture. And if you have seen somewhere in any documentary in Discovery Channel, so you will be able to associate that usually only a single crop is grown and the area covered here is very large. So some more example can be taken up from your book itself. Tea in Assam, North Bengal coffee in Karnataka are some important plantation crops grown in these states. Since the production is mainly for the market, well-developed network of transport and communication connecting the plantation areas, processing industries, market play an important role in development of plantation. Obviously, these are not only the features which are specifically required for plantation, for any type of agricultural or farming activities, these are certain prerequisites which are direly needed in order to make the farming activity successful. Developed means of transportation, close by markets, high demand in the market, and easy availability of raw material, and cheap supply of labor and cheap supply of electricity, uninterrupted supply of electricity. These are certain prerequisites which are always needed in order to make these industries successful. The next important topic is cropping pattern. Now, what do you understand by cropping pattern? Cropping pattern means pattern or manner in which various crops are grown in one particular year depending upon its climatic requirement in one region. Pattern in which different type of variety of crops are grown in one particular year depending on its climatic requirement in one particular country. We have studied the physical diversity and plurality of the cultures in India. These are also reflected in the agricultural practices and cropping pattern in country. Various types of food and fiber crops, vegetables, fruit, spices and condiments, etc. constitute some important crops which are grown in country. And these crops are grown during 3 different cropping seasons which are known as Rabi, Kharif and Zaid. So yes, of course, this statement is very much true that just as we have the diversity with reference to our physiography, or we have the cultural diversity, we have the religious diversity, we have diversity with reference to food. And where does that food diversity comes from? It comes from the agricultural practices that is taken up in our country. And India being in such a favorable climatic location, the subtropical region, it has 3 different cropping season which allows Indians to grow variety of crops throughout the year. The first season is the Rabi, second is Kharif, and the third season, that is the intermediate season or the transition season, that is the Zaid season. So let us see what are the characteristics of Rabi's cropping season. First of all, Rabi crops are sown in winter from October to December, and they are harvested in summer from April to June. Now, when you talk about agriculture, agriculture does not simply means that you have thrown the seeds onto the ground and when it will be ripening, coming into fruit, they will be yielded. There are different processes which are involved in the growing span of a plant, from sowing season to the growing season and then the harvesting season. So Rabi crop or the Rabi season is the season during in which the sowing activity begins in winter season, winter from October to December, and then there is a growing period in between of January, February, March, and then finally it is harvested between April to June. So this is the Rabi cropping season, beginning from winters and harvesting goes up till June. Some of the important Rabi crops which are grown during this cropping period are wheat, barley, peas, gram and mustard. Very clearly it is given in your book. Though these crops are grown in large parts of India, states from northern and northwestern parts such as Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh are important for the production of wheat and other Rabi crops. So majorly Rabi crops or Rabi season holds more of importance with reference to your northern Indian side. Availability of precipitation during winter months due to western temperate cyclone helps in the success of these crops. However, success of the Green Revolution in Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh and parts of Rajasthan has also been an important factor in the growth of above mentioned Rabi crops. So what does it say? It states that because northern India experiences the winter rainfall also, therefore because of the Mediterranean disturbances which comes from the Mediterranean Sea, therefore this agriculture is possible during the winter season, as availability of irrigation through the precipitation in different form is available. And moreover, Green Revolution has also made all this cropping season even more successful because of the complete package technology that was introduced with the Green Revolution. Then we have Kharif crops. Kharif crops are grown with the onset of the monsoon. Now if you see finishing of the Rabi crop, that is June, and June is the onset of the monsoon also. By the end of June, monsoon is already set in the Indian subcontinent, and that is the time when the Kharif cropping season begins. Onset of monsoon in different parts of the country, and these are harvested in September, October. Now as you see that nowadays also we are going through the same phase, that is the Kharif cropping season has already begun. And if you can see the fields in the states of Punjab and Haryana, you will be able to see that paddy cultivation is going on these days. That is, rice is being cultivated in the field these days, and it will be harvested by the end of September to October month. Important crops which are grown during these seasons are paddy, that is rice, maize, jowar, bajra, tur or arhar, moong, urad, cotton, jute, groundnut and soya bean. You need not to memorize each and every example which is given over here. 2-3 will be sufficient. Some of the most important rice growing regions are Assam, West Bengal, coastal regions of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Maharashtra, particularly the Konkan coast along with Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So if you notice all these coasts, all these states mentioned over here, these are the states where abundant of water supply is available due to one reason or the other. So that is why rice cultivation is possible in these areas. And another factor which is added over here is that recently rice cultivation has become an important crop in the states of Punjab and Haryana. Punjab and Haryana major crop is wheat, but after making the irrigation facilities available in this region, rice cultivation has also become very successful crop in this region, and this area is largely producing rice on the commercial basis. In states like Assam, West Bengal and Odisha, these crops of paddy are grown in the year, and these are locally known as Os, Aman and Boro. So one mark question this can also be asked, that what is Kharif crop locally known as in Assam, West Bengal and Odisha respectively. Then the time period between the Kharif and Rabi crop, the Rabi and Kharif crop, there is a intermediate period or a short span growing season which is known as Zaid season. In between the Rabi and Kharif season, there is a short season during the summer months which is known as Zaid season. This is also known as a transition phase or the intermediate period. Some of the crops which are produced during Zaid are watermelon, muskmelon, cucumber, vegetable and fodder crops. Sugarcane takes almost a year to grow. Sugarcane is an annual crop. So whenever either sugarcane is taken up on a very large scale where the land holding sites are very big, and if you have ever noticed, sugarcane is usually grown on a small piece of land holding in combination to other major crop. Because sugarcane is an annual crop, it takes one complete year to ripen. Therefore, people usually grow sugarcane in combination to some other major crop. So during Zaid period, there are variety of things which are grown on a very small scale, and in some cases you might find that people who are into livestock rearing, during the Zaid period they usually grow fodder for their animals.